everybody, welcome to my video. I am excited. I want to show you 3 different ways to use these shimmer paints. There are 4 different shimmer paints in the holiday catalog. I have 3 here. I have the frosted white, the Vegas gold, and the bright copper. The only one I don't have is the champagne, and I've already ordered it because I sat down to play with these and had so much fun. So today, what I want to do is show you 3 different ways to use these shimmer paints. Now, I'm going to use the frosted white, and then I'm also going to use the copper. So we're going to make a card, and then I'm going to show you a 3D item. So let's start with the card. We're going to start with a card base, okay, and this is a Whisper White card base, and then what I've done is I've taken a thick piece of Whisper White cardstock. I've cut that at 4 by 5 1/4, and that's going to be a layer, okay, so it's just Whisper White. So we have the layer here, and this is going to go on top. I'm using the thick Whisper White on top just to create that layer. And then the other thing you're probably going to want to have on hand is some wipes. So I always just keep a set of these wipes. I get them at Target. They're just the unscented, and I just get this throwaway container. I used to get like a reusable container, but I just found that mine dried out so quickly. So I just have this, and it goes right on my desk in front of me. The other thing that we're going to use is some type of surface. So what I'm using here is my acrylic top piece to my Stamparatus. So if you have this Stamparatus from Stampin' Up, you know that this comes with 2 plates. So you can't store both plates on the base at the same time, but what I found is that actually works out because I've been using this base for different things. So again, I just am going to be using this, and I wiped it off, and you're just going to want to make sure it's dry when you're using this. The other thing that I have is a palette knife, and then I have just a little paintbrush. I pulled mine out of my Smooch paint. You might not want to do that if you're using a dark color like we're going to do because it's contaminated, but I just liked the brush part of this, and so that's what I'm going to be using, okay? So what we're going to do, and I also suggest having a little bit of grid paper because it's going to get messy. Okay, so let me show you how we're going to use this shimmer paint the first 2 ways. And I'm going to be using the frosted white for this. And what you're going to want to grab is your re-inkers. So I'm using Blackberry Bliss, and that might not have been a good call on my part to use such a dark color that ends up being kind of messy, but that's okay. All right, so I'm also going to use a clear block. So the first thing we're going to do is pour some of this shimmer paint onto my clear block. This comes out really fast, so I don't need that much on my clear block, but then on my surface right here, I'm going to need quite a bit for the second way we're going to use this. And it comes out really fast, you guys. It is quite the mess if you're not careful. Okay, so I want a little tiny bit of the Blackberry Bliss on this re-inker. I'm going to mix it, and then I'm going to put like 2 drops on there. So with my palette knife, I'm going to mix this up, and this makes such a beautiful color with this Blackberry Bliss and the shimmer. And you're going to want to use this paint right away. This isn't something that you can like maybe prep early and then get up and go have lunch. You're going to want to do all of this together. Okay. So I'm going to set that down, and we're going to set this aside. I just wanted to mix them at the same time. And then I'm just going to grab my stylus to mix this up. And this is going to be a little bit darker. There's not as much shimmer paint. The more shimmer paint you have, the lighter it's going to be. The kind of the more re-inker you put in there, the darker it's going to be, that kind of thing. So now we're going to take the card front, okay, which is right here. Now you're going to want to be careful because it gets everywhere. Like the re-inker is going to get everywhere. This paint is going to get everywhere. It just does. So, and it's really runny. So it's going to run off quite easily. So I just want this at the edge of my block. And I'm going to take that little paintbrush that I had, and this is going to go all to the edge. I want everything on the edge. And then I just want it, I don't want it piled up in one pile. I kind of want it spread out. Okay, so hopefully you can see that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to flick this off the edge of my block onto my card. Now you're going to have to let it dry a little bit if you want to use this. But I'm just putting this all over my card. I'm making a little splattered background. So let's set this aside. This is why you're going to want to have some probably baby wipes out. Okay, so now you'll have to set this aside and let it dry. So we'll set that aside and we'll work on our next way you can use this. So these are some pillow boxes. You can get these in the annual catalog. And they're this cardboard type, Kraft color, and they're polka dot. And what we're going to do is we're going to change the color of this. So that's where this is going to come in. So this is the second way we're going to use it. I'm just going to pick that paint up and then I'm going to put it right onto my craft box. And I'm just using this palette knife to kind of scrape this all over the box. You're going to want quite a bit to do one of these boxes. And again, it's going to get a little messy. You're definitely going to want to have something to wipe this off onto. And I'm trying to be a little bit conservative with this paint when I'm using it. So you can even do it on top of this. Okay, so you just scrape this onto here, okay? And then do the other side. And one thing I suggest doing, now I didn't cover all of this, but you guys are going to get the idea. One thing I suggest doing is taking your baby wipe. Now I'm just going to wipe off my block, but then also I'm going to come over here and I'm going to wipe off some of this, and I'm going to get this on here. And then I'm going to wipe all over this. And this is a little bit wet, so it is moving that paint around a little bit more, and it's making that shimmer more evenly coated onto the whatever it is you're using. In this case, we're using this box. But it's going to evenly coat this, and then this is going to be wet, so you're definitely going to want to let this dry and set it aside, and then just make sure that right away you clean off your, you know, whatever it is you're using. It will wipe off even if it dries. I had a little bit that dried on this the last time I used it, and it wiped off fairly easily. Okay, so we're going to let this dry because this is going to be part of the project that we're putting together. But I have my piece right here, and it's dried. Now you can see because it's shimmer paint, it's going to shimmer quite a bit. So I want to work here on the card front first, or this card layer. And what I've done is I've just picked 3 pieces of designer paper. And you can see I got a little bit of shimmer paint on my designer paper. But I'm gonna make this some layers onto my card. And I'm just gonna use my grid line, so I'm sort of starting off my page a little bit, just like that. And then we'll flip this piece over and we'll go ahead and trim these off. Okay, so the next thing that I've done is I've used the falling leaves and I've cut this leaf from those dies. And what I'm gonna do is layer this on here. And there's not really a good way to pop these up, this die up, because it has so much intricate detail. So what I'm doing is just adding some liquid glue, and then I'm layering it on top of the paper. And then I want to go ahead and take my sentiment, which I'm going to use the Sending Loves and Hugs to You, and I want to use the Mint Macaroon. I'm feeling like maybe this layer should have been in the middle, but that's okay. And then I just want to put this out pretty good. I'm an inky mess today, you guys. I just stuck my whole thumb into the mint macaroon. And then I have blackberry bliss everywhere. Okay, now for this, we're going to flip it over. Now, I let this dry overnight. That's why I was able to just quickly go into this. What I want to do is add some... Just like that. So that's our card. So we used the shimmer paint to do the flicks of ink, and this one smeared, unfortunately, a little bit, but you get the idea. So we flicked that onto the card. Now, remember we did the box. So we have our box, and then when it dries, it's gonna look like this, and I'm gonna show you guys what I'm gonna do next with this, and we're gonna use the shimmer paint one more time. So here's how our pillow box goes, and you can put a treat in there, just like that. Now what I've done is I have cut out from another die set this image right here, and this is in mint macaroon. And what I've done is I have poured some shimmer paint onto a piece of cardstock, and then I've taken my stamp. This stamp says enjoy, and it's from this stamp set right here, Take Out Treats. And you're just gonna dip your stamp. So this is kind of dry. And I'm taking my palette knife, and you just want to smooth that out a little bit, so when your stamp goes into it, it's a little bit more even. And I do a little test stamp that looks pretty good. It's picking up the ink pretty evenly. And I'm gonna stamp this on here on an angle, and you're gonna get this really beautiful enjoy. Now what I'm gonna do is just take my paper piercer, a hole right through here, and then we're gonna take that same linen thread. I've taken that same cardstock that I used, or the same designer paper that I used for the card, and I've used it on the pillow box. I've just wrapped it around. Is right there on the box, and that is 3 different ways to use your shimmer paint. So I really hope that you will pick these up. I love them. They're so much fun to play with. Again, just make sure you have something sitting close to you that you can kind of wipe up the mess as you go. They clean up really nice, and there's so many different things that you can do with these. So I hope you enjoyed seeing this, and I will talk to you guys later this week. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today and watching my videos. Here are 2 other of my most recent videos. I would love for you guys to subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and I will catch you in my next video. I hope you all have a wonderful day.